Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Jim Dar's Tone Shifter channel, where we show you how to take any guitar and make it sound and play better. So join me in the Guitar Cabin, our musical sanctuary from day-to-day life, as we explore another really cool guitar project. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Well, the Basketcase Les Paul Special 55 is finally here. UPS took their time. The previous owner shipped it out pretty promptly. We were just waiting and waiting and waiting. It took 7 days to get here, which was a little disappointing. I think, as I said earlier, I've looked at the pictures probably dozens of times trying to figure out how I'm going to attack the guitar in terms of restoration and repair, where I want to take it back fully or where I just want to take it back to the point of making it playable. So we got the guitar in. It's kind of exciting. Let's take a look at it and see what we've got. Not sure which side is up, so I'll start down over here. Trying to be real careful so I don't cut myself. It's actually in a case. Oh, I'm getting excited now. I wonder if it's going to be as big of a basket case as they said it would. It really looks like a very nice case. All right. The moment of truth. It is a basket case. Well, that's already been glued. That's surprising. Here's the fingerboard. Actually is. Here's the back of the fingerboard. Here's the front of it. Looks like it came off better than I was expecting. Now, here we go for the money. This shows us the extent of the damage. And it is as it was pictured. Still salvageable. Let me take a closer look at it. Well, I've looked this over a little bit, and it's pretty much as I expected. I think it still has a lot of potential to be resurrected. The one thing I did notice that I wasn't expecting was one of the position markers, one of the dot position markers came off and was lost. So I thought, well, that's a bummer. Anything I have won't be able to match up exactly, and they'll look different under an ultraviolet light or black light. It'll look different under a black light. But then I got to thinking, okay, it was in the pictures. Let me check the case. So I checked the case thoroughly. Lo and behold, I found the missing dot. The case of the missing dot has been solved. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to point out on the fingerboard, which I was expecting based on Trogly's initial videos, is there is a crack that starts about here and runs all the way up to about here, and then there's another crack that starts here and goes all the way to the end. So hopefully I'll be able to glue that up so it doesn't get any worse. It might be able to hide it a little bit better than what's there now. But other than that, the back of the fingerboard came off fairly cleanly, it looks like. It looks like we didn't lose any nut width here because the binding is still pretty much the same on both sides. These frets at some point will have to be replaced. I don't know if I'm going to do that now. Oh, I'm looking over here too. This crack goes from here, here, here. Hang on a second. Yeah, the crack really starts here. And goes to about here. Then it starts here. Keeps going. I should be doing it like this, shouldn't I? What I'm doing is I'm looking on the back of the fingerboard to see if that crack goes all the way through, and it looks like it doesn't. So I've got some rosewood dust, and this is going to have to be roughed up for regluing anyway to make sure I get all this residue off. Wasn't expecting this to be glued in, so that's something I'm not knowing the type of glue he used is something I may want to address. The body itself, the top, I think we can buff a lot of this out, get a lot of this goop out, but we want to try to retain this finish. I'm going to have to pull the string anchors out. Not the string anchors, the bridge anchors out, and I'll do that probably the next step. This will be easy to trim down the sides. I'll probably do that first and then assess whether or not I want to keep that on there or take it off. There's 2 layers. It looks like I'm adding about 1/16 of an inch to it. When I looked at Trogly's videos, one of the things I wanted to find out was how much bridge height adjustment we had for good action. And he, looking at the stop tail that he put on it, it looked pretty bottomed out. So that's a concern. But because Jake, the previous owner, to me, added this to it to give it a little height, that will raise it up proportionately here as well. But I am concerned about the neck angle. Fortunately, there are no cracks in the neck. I don't know what they were doing here, but there's no cracks. Doesn't seem to be any cracks at all, and the integrity of the width of this seems to be there. I can't put the fingerboard back on until I get the truss rod slot routed in it. And I think what I'm gonna do is approach this in 2 logical areas. One is fixing the neck, trying to get as much depth back to the neck as we can, because it's really just kind of sanded flat. So if I go in with a splice the size of the 3-piece neck, it won't be as obtrusive, and just go in right down the middle and route it to about here. That'll give me essentially that much of an area to put a piece of wood on to route it down into the neck so it becomes an integral part of the neck, and I'm hoping there's no metal underneath there. I'll ruin a bit in a heartbeat if I do that. But we'll find out. That's what these projects are all about. They're about fun. They're about exploring. I can be working on the fingerboard while I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this or do this, but I want to approach it separately, because one of the things I don't want to do, and I'll be perfectly honest, is this neck joint seems pretty good. So if I were to build back up, put about a 3/4 inch cap on it, I still have to worry about how I'm going to handle that. If I take the initial shape, I've got to route a piece in here, and that may look too much like a patch. So what I was thinking about is, once I get this sanded flat, and I'll use the top surface as a guide for that when I run it through my drum sander, one of the things I want to do is keep as much depth to the back as possible. In other words, it's fairly level here. I mean, it's like a rolling hills meadow. It's low here to here, so I'll probably splice in a piece right like that. Although I'm going to probably base everything on just skimming this a little bit, and then if I angle the body and do it like this, that would preserve the integrity of the neck without having to worry about the neck joint, and I'm not having to worry about the plane, the neck angle, as opposed to the proper bridge height. I think the top can buff out really nicely, so we're going to try to protect that as much as we can. I think I'll probably start by gluing this in, and I'll show you that when I do it, and then bringing this stuff down and then cutting it here and cutting it. Then I'll get hold of the previous owner and ask him what type of glue he used here for this, and because that should be fine if he used the proper glue, or it's hiding a bunch of bad divots underneath here, which I didn't see in the pictures, but I think we'll be in good shape. There's these studs, as I said, have to come out, because as I sand, I don't want to hit the bottom. I'm going to probably have to hit these, so I want to take them out so I don't mess the drum sander up by hitting metal. I don't know how thick that is. That actually is pretty thick, but if you look this way, you'll see that the guitar has a big low spot here where they really went after it. I don't want to take this down anymore, so this thickness may be my working thickness to try to bring everything else to. I have to think about it a little bit. And this is like almost an inch. Yeah, that's a little bit lower right there. That's a little bit lower. Right in the middle is much lower, so I definitely have to put in some patches. So my guess is I'm going to put in a patch here, put in a patch here, then bring this down. I think I can get 4/4 stock mahogany that I'll use to put together to make a back. Also wanted to see, I'm going to end up taking some measurements and then decide, you know, it's not quite 13 inches. So yeah, this has its work cut out. When it's done, it'll be a player. Hopefully it'll sound good. Fortunately, when I had one of these before, I took some diagrams and tracings of the pick guard, the back control cavity, and the toggle switch because it is unique. So I'll be able to make the plastic covers for that accordingly and go from there. So there we go. The Basketcase, it's really not that bad. So give me your thoughts on how you would approach this, what you would do. Again, I'm focusing on compartmentalizing it, the neck, the fingerboard, the body depth, and then trying to build it back up. Obviously, the part of the solution is building the neck so it has that nice full C-shaped neck. Here's a couple of close-ups of the guitar. Here's the headstock, and it actually in person is much worse looking than it is in the pictures, but it's intact. Silk screen is not affected. I'll cover that up when I try to even out whatever is going on with that top. Now take another look at the body in detail here, and you'll see that the back doesn't look that bad. The neck itself had a 1/4 inch wide piece of wood spliced into it, and I think the intent was to fill the hole, but also allow the guitar to get some of the depth to the neck back to that. I don't know how effective that was, but it's something we'll have to take a look at. Again, I'm thinking about putting maybe a 1/2 inch wide strip in there of genuine Honduran mahogany. I'll have to check my stash to see if I have any leftover pieces. Now, here's a closer look at the back, and you can see the deep divot and the Bondo or whatever it was that they used. They actually went down very deep in the waist of the guitar. So it's very, very thin there, fragilely thin, I might add. And that's going to have to be an issue because I don't want to take the whole top down to that level. I'll probably use some plugs to bring those back up. And then here is another look at the back from a different angle, and you can see that it is messed up. I mean, it's messed up, no doubt about it. Understand what the people were trying to do. The execution wasn't that great, but it is what it is, and we'll live with it. And we'll try to bring it back to life as best as we can. Now here's a close-up of the heel joint and where the neck joins the body. You can see by the different colors of wood that the tenon goes in pretty far, but it's pretty thin. And the real strength of the joint as it is right now is the side-to-side connections, not the tenon to the bottom of the tenon, because there is no bottom of the tenon. It's all been sanded away. Take a close look. That's what we got to deal with. Now here's another view of the neck pickup cavity from the back of the guitar. You can see it's been sanded through there, and the oblong cavity that you see on the upper right hand side is the switch cavity, so that's all messed up. The lighter colored part of the picture is some type of a Bondo or plastic filler that they tried to recover from going a little bit too deeply, is my guess. Anyway, the back is a mess, but it can be fixed. It needs to be flattened out. So stay tuned, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll get notifications when these series are progressing. I expect that it's going to be 5 or 6 parts to this. It may span several months because during a project like this, the first thing you need to do is let the guitar acclimate to your climate. Typically for a week or so would be ideal. I'm going to have to buy mahogany for the back. I need to let that acclimate for a while. Especially since this guitar was in Arizona, it's very dry there. I'm in the metro Atlanta area, and it's pretty humid here. So I want everything to kind of equalize before I do anything. Anyway, this could be an exciting project. Check out the videos that Trogly posted on his channel, and we'll go from there. Like, subscribe, and comment. All right, I'm excited. Can't wait.